Good evening. My name is Jess, and this is session 3's reflection with the followers, connections, friends, and subscribers for the current Sphere project that we were working on. I think this is probably going to be my most vulnerable poster or video ever. I'm struggling. I went into this. It's my story is something that I've wanted to share for a very long time. I think I've overcome a lot of obstacles in life, and I was dealt a lot of really hard scenarios to deal with and to maneuver through. And there's still some things that I deal with still to this day. And so my story is something I've always wanted to never use as a, ooh, look at me, but as a true tribute to you're capable of so much more than what you were dealt, and the scenarios that come of what you're dealing with. You are so much more than a trauma that happened. You are so much more than a crummy scenario. You are so much more than poor dynamics. So when we were presented with this project and I came into this class and then I learned that this is what we were going to be working on, I was over the moon. I said, this is my chance. This is my push to get started. And I've been looking at social media accounts for the last 2.5 weeks going, I don't know where to begin. I think my biggest hesitation through this is it my truth to tell? Yes, it's my story. I've lived through it. But for some of the biggest pieces that define who I am, and some of the biggest pieces that I've lived through, and why I am who I am, and why I work as hard as I do, involve other people. Is it my right to share that information with the world? To go onto social media and to talk about the drug abuse that's happened in the past with family members. I mean, I think I was quite honest when I wrote my initial post. My dad was a recovering drug addict. He has been my entire life. I learned the extent of it a few years back. I didn't understand certain things as I was growing up, and I was never really able to put 2 and 2 together until a couple of years ago when he was honest with me, and then I started putting together all the pieces, and I started putting together all of everything, and I think I'm struggling with, am I quote unquote, am I outing him? Am I sharing his information, even if I don't use him by name? People who know me, people who know him and I, am I outing him? Is it my right to share my story? Is it my right to be truthful with my story? And am I affecting more lives than just my own, in a negative way? I think I'd love to affect people's lives positively, but my biggest fear is to affect people's lives negatively. I think I had a really honest conversation with my mom this evening when she was asking about how class is going and how school is, and I told her, I said, I'm worried. I said, what is too much to tell? What isn't enough to tell? What is fair for me to talk about, and what are things that do I need to keep skeletons in my closet? And I think she said that, or I think she made a really good point when she said, if there are pieces that I'm not willing to be called out on, then that's my own problem. If I negatively impacted, or I had an impact, it is only fair for you to call me out. It's only fair for you to hold me accountable. And if I didn't want those things to be known, then I never should have put you in that position in the first place. She said, it's your truth. It's your story. And I think that there are she said that she thinks that there's a lot of really important pieces to my story that I need to feel comfortable enough to talk about. There are pieces that she's involved in. We haven't always had the greatest relationship. We went through a really rough spot, and she did impact my life, both positively and negatively. And it's conversations that her and I have had over and over and over again. And I'm really sorry. I have a puppy who wants to talk all about it too. But I want to get engaged with this, and I want to feel comfortable sharing my story. And it's really weird that I can sit here and I can talk about these things like this. But I think we always talk about what goes on the internet you can't pull off. What goes on the internet you can never fully get back, and you can never fully hide it. And I want to be cautious. I want to make a decision that I know that I can't reverse and feel confident in it. Brene Brown, one of my favorite authors, one of my look-tos, and somebody who's truly inspired me with my journey with leadership and everything else. Daring Greatly, she talks about being vulnerable, and she talks about leading with everything that you have, and knowing that you put yourself out there in a situation that makes you uncomfortable in order to grow from it. The only way to change and to grow is to get uncomfortable and do something you're not familiar with. And this is uncharted territory for me. I lived it, but these are pieces I've never shared. I started my career with a supervisor who very early on taught me that you need to create a level of not seniority, but a level of communication with your staff and your team where they will never be able to use a piece of information that you provide them against you. So he's always been very, not standoffish. He engages with his teams. He laughs, he jokes, but when it comes to his personal life, he is quite private when it comes to working with his teams and his staff. I think I'm one of the only people who knows his birthday, and that was on accident. And I've worked with him 6 years now. So I've learned two different extremes. I have people who are very outgoing and very open and will just spill everything to you. And then I have somebody who taught me that you never want to share something that could potentially be used against you, that could potentially negatively impact your relationship with somebody that you work with. But I also take that into my personal life. Do I want to share that I don't know if my dad is clean? I truly will never know if I will. I have my suspicions, but he will never admit to me again that he's using. And do I want to put that out there? Do I want to put out on the internet that I was 20 and faced suicidal ideations and that I contemplated taking my own life at one point because I was struggling? Do I want to share with the world that when I told my grandmother that I was pregnant, that she looked me in the face and told me that I just ruined my life? Those are the reasons I do everything that I do. Those are the reasons that at 27, I've put myself through college now for almost the third time. Those are the reasons why I have grown the corporate ladder and I never give up and I push. Those are the reasons why I want to give my daughter the world and do everything possible for her that I can. But I think through this project, it's taught me I'm tough, but I still have some fears, and I still have, it's not shame. It's never been shame. Because I use it as a superpower. That's my strength. That's why I do what I do. But I have fears I have to work through. I never want to hurt anybody. I never want to shame anybody. I just want to tell my story and encourage others who may have faced similar things that I have, and show them that there's another side of things, that they don't have to live defined by what they faced in the past. I don't want people to be able to sit back and say, oh, I wish I could have done that, or I wish that I did this, or I wish that I accomplished that. Because growing up with a single parent who worked and had her own struggles, another parent who has been addicted to methamphetamine and heroin my entire life, facing postpartum depression, facing suicide, facing self-harm, facing domestic violence, facing everything that I have. A lot of people say it should have destroyed me. I should not be sitting here doing as well as I am. But I did not let it define me. I used it as a strength. It was never a crutch. It was a strength. And I pushed through it, and I made things happen. And I want to encourage others to do the same. Because if I didn't have the army behind me that I do, and the internal power to say, no, my daughter deserves so much better, and I want my daughter to have so much better, and I deserve so much better as a human. Not everybody has that same strength. So it's my challenge for the next 2 weeks to push myself. I have an introduction video for my YouTube channel that has been sitting on my camera for a little while now. I think my challenge this week is to post that. And I think my challenge on Instagram is to share the link. And I think my challenge on Twitter is to tweet the link. And I think that for my normal social medias, my challenge for myself this week is to share my new profiles and to truly begin to engage. Because although I have intent is nothing without action. Intent is just talk. Now it's time to act, and now it's time to do something, and now it's time to get uncomfortable. So I apologize for getting a little emotional. I apologize that I have a yappy little guy. He's ready to go outside for his walk. And I apologize that my level of engagement hasn't been there. But I think it's time to challenge myself. And I think that it is time to do something incredible with the struggles that I faced. What I've gone through is not in vain. What I have gone through is nothing that I ever want to sit back and say, woe is me. It is something that I want to say, look, like, it didn't knock me down. And it won't do that to you either if you push. So I appreciate it. I know I went way over the time. But I have some challenges this week, and I'm excited to face those. And I'm excited to see what comes of it. So I appreciate you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great night.